the next one here, this is like 55.4, if you will. This one's called Eric's Lawn Service. So if you did all the rest of them, you should have had the Eric's one, and these are all the answers to the Eric Lawn Service piece of paper. So this is nice because you can just flip it over and then the answers are on the back side. There's going to be a couple new things though. We now know how to do total fixed cost, variable cost, total cost, marginal cost, price, total, like those are all exactly the same. The new ones are going to be our averages. So when you get an average is just exactly what you think it is. You're going to take the total and then you're going to divide the total by the number that we're looking at. So for example, if I'm doing my total fixed cost of $7 and I have one lawn mowed, then my average fixed cost here is just going to be 7. And when I take my average variable cost, I'm going to take my total variable cost divided by 1, I'm going to get 2. And when I get my total cost, I'm going to take that 9, I'm going to divide it by 1, and I'm going to get 9. So when you do your averages, just take your total of 7 divided by 2, you're going to get 350, and so on and so forth. Then what we want you to do is we want you to graph this information, but what you need to graph is you need to graph your average total, not your average fixed. You want your average variable cost. You want that one. You want your average total cost, that one. We're not going to graph our average fixed cost because our average fixed costs are going to be like just a line. I mean, you can graph it if you want to, but the line is just going to slope downward as those get averaged all the way. Average variable cost, your average total cost, and we're also going to do our marginal costs right here, and we're going to do our marginal revenue here. When you graph all those things, we'll show you what this looks like in a second, but you're going to get basically your marginal revenue is going to come in. Remember to graph all margins like this one and this one, graph those on the half unit, right? And then all your averages, this one, graph these on the whole unit. So when you do that and you graph the halves and the holes, your marginal revenue is going to come across as a straight line like this, right? Like a horizontal line. Your marginal costs are going to look sort of like that Nike swoosh shape, if you will. Your average total costs are going to be kind of high at the beginning, and then they're going to, when it gets into here, it'll be more of that smiley face shape. And your average variable costs are going to start out sort of low, and then they're going to creep on up towards your average total cost. So when you look at that graph at the end, when you graph it, it's going to look something like this guy right here. If you do this right, your graph's going to look something like this. And what we're going to show when we do this is that my marginal revenue and my marginal costs are going to cross right here at 8. And if you go back to the piece of paper before, what we're going to find is 8 units is where we're going to maximize our profit. So you're going to see that MR equals MC is the place to go. We're not going to ever have to do any of these graphs ever or any of the charts ever again. We can now just rely on these graphs to say wherever MR comes across, where MR equals MC is where we're going to produce, because that's going to be our profit maximizing amount of quantity. The other thing we can do when we see this graph is we can take the price of $9, right? And we can come down, we can check our total revenue, but we can also see our profit. If I take my $9 and I come down to my average total cost curve, like right here, when I come down to this average total cost curve and I square that in, you're going to see that it hits at $4.50. And when you hit at $4.50, you're going to find that $4.50, right, between $4.50 and $9, that distance is $4.50. Multiply that out by your 8 units, and what you're going to find is that equals $36. And that price, that's going to be our profit box right here. So the difference between where MC equals MR down to my ATC and over, if I square that in, that is my profit box. This is what your average total cost should look like. This is what your average variable cost should look like. This is I did graph my average fixed cost on this one. You can kind of see how it just slopes down and it starts to go away over time. As we go to the 10th, 11th, 12th, this average fixed cost is just going to go away completely, almost like it's never going to hit zero, but it's going to become so minimal that it's not going to matter. And the other nice thing in here, and you can see I have some other lines going on, wherever you change the price to, if I decided to change my price to $3, as I did that, I'm still going to go across to where my marginal revenue hits my marginal cost line. Then I'm going to go up and find my average total cost and square that box in right here. That would be a loss for me because my revenue isn't quite coming up and meeting my costs. So as you look at it, interesting to see how these graphs all go together. Hopefully that helped. Talk to you next time.